Hey everyone, super excited to be here. Okay, so I'll start by introducing myself, then I'll hand the mic to my colleagues here, Guy and Amitai, to introduce themselves, and then we'll dive into the actual panel. So my name is Ron, I'm from Digital Turbine. I've been with the company for 3.5 years. Digital Turbine, for those who don't know, is a leading independent mobile growth platform offering user acquisition, ad monetization, on-device, and brand solutions. Feel free to,
Hi, my name is Amitai. I'm from Playtika for the last 3 years. I am managing all organic growth activities. It means that we actually take care of all ASO and SEO activities for all of our 15 games, somewhat like that. And I manage all platform relationships. So it means I need to deal with all the platforms that our games are on, Apple, Google, Meta, in the technical side and the strategic side. And as my day-to-day is also exploring new platforms for Playtika to expand and to scale on.
Right. So hi everyone. I'm Guy from Plarium. I work at the business development department, and we do very similar things, I would say. Basically, explore new platform opportunities, working with existing platforms. We have our own platform, but that's on PC, and today is the mobile summit, so we won't bring that up. But yeah, that's the day-to-day work.
Cool, thank you guys. Okay, so a quick intro about the panel, so you will get some context. So the panel is about looking for alternatives, how developers grow beyond the walled gardens. So alternative stores, or shall we call them alternative growth channels, are becoming quite trendy in the last couple of years. And by only looking at, let's say, the IAP market, the in-app purchases market alone, we are seeing that this is a massive market. We're speaking about $100 billion a year, which is controlled mainly by 2 players. But up until very recently, the alternative stores were operating in specific countries, specific regions. China could be a great example of a market who basically Google Play is restricted in China, and you see many other alternative stores operating and filling the gap. But nowadays we're seeing more and more stores showing up on like a global level in markets like Europe, United States, Latam, and it's definitely becoming very interesting. So on today's panels we will address these topics and we'll dive in on those. And let's just start. Okay, so Amitai, Guy, what makes it an alternative for you?
Okay, so an alternative store, I actually prefer to refer to it as a platform because it's not only stores. Every platform that our games are, it can be PC, it can be websites. For me, it's an alternative store. But for Playtika as a mobile game company, we, of course, are mobile first. So for me, the traditional platforms, the stores, will be only Google Play Store and App Store, Apple's App Store. But it could also be Google's own platform and Apple other platforms that will be alternative for me. So, for instance, Google Play games on PC that are just being launched, it is an alternative store, even though it's Google. So it is an alternative because we need to do the effort. We don't need to be there traditionally. Also, Apple's Arcade or other Apple TV or other platforms from the same platform as Apple and Google, for me, it's an alternative. So to answer your question, Google Play Store as a mobile store and Apple's Apple Store are the traditional. All the rest for me will be an alternative.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty much the same. We don't use the term alternative internally. Plarium made a few changes through its life cycle. We started before mobile. We started on social networks. We went with the markets. We went with where our players are. And that's the same mindset we have right now. So obviously, Apple and Google are the two biggest ecosystems right now. We want to be there. We love them. We work with them. but we also look for additional opportunities, and we want to go where our players want to play their games. So pretty much anything.
I must say, before Guy said that we are in a mobile summit, and it's and when we won't talk about PC, but I think the definition is now everything got mixed and platforms work simultaneously with both platforms. And if you work on Amazon and now they are operating also on PC with a cooperation with Windows and Microsoft. So for me, everything is a platform, everything is a store, no matter where it is.
Absolutely. Cross-platform is a buzzword these days, and we'll touch it later. Yeah, just to add on my side that, yeah, definitely not just stores. When I'm thinking about alternatives, we can also, from our perspective as a company, as Digital Turbine, we have products like Single Tap, which streamlines the install process. So instead of a trip to the store, you have 2 clicks and you get the app installed on your device. And channels like Preloads, where user unboxes his phone for the first time and you already get some apps installed and you can explore different genres and games. So definitely not just stores, it's a very wide notion. So Amitai, why would game developers try an alternative store in the first place?
I think this answer should be divided into 2, because for me there are 2 types, 2 motives to go to other platforms and to explore alternative stores. The first one is, of course, growth, because in tough times like now, we're looking for ways to grow and to scale. And when I talk about growth, for me it's 3 pillars that the alternative stores can answer for us. It is organic growth. You need to understand, the alternative stores want us. If you have a very profitable games, they want you on their stores. If you build the right negotiation with them, you can get a lot from being on the platform. So for me, it's an organic growth potential because we can be visible and get promotions when we launch games on other alternative stores. This is one pillar. The other one is a revenue growth, because for the studios, they get new audiences that they can monetize and attract more revenue from other end-use users. And the third one, another UA channels. Everyone here for marketing, for Playtika, you all know that it becomes more and more harder to scale. We are always looking for other UA sources to scale, and other alternative stores are providing us new alternatives in terms of UA. For instance, Galaxy now launches the cloud platform that enables doing UA without a store, like you said, from your own service. So this opens us a world of opportunities in terms of UA. This is one, the growth motive. But for me, there is another motive that doesn't include growth. Maybe I will gain nothing. Maybe the ROI will be worse, but for me, some of the platforms, we want to be there as a statement of innovation. Some platforms of Apple and Google, as Playtika as an innovative company, I want our games to be there first and to operate on the most innovative platform there is. Even I can't even show any ROI. I can't even show any projections of revenue. It's a statement, and that's where I'm looking. But mostly, I will look for a platform that answers both motives, both growth and innovation.
Yeah, pretty much agree to all of that. The only one other thing I would add is regional expansion, which is a very interesting consideration. Again, you mentioned China, but China has its own walled garden, right? So it's harder to get there. But if your game appears to be working very specifically in India or in APAC territories or maybe in LATAM territories, you should know that there are some regional stores that are focused on these areas, and they might actually be a very good diversification option for you. Some of them are even more popular in these territories than the standard Google Play Store, or at least for the kind of users you're looking for, they might be a better fit. So that's the other thing you want to consider.
I must add to that, because if you have like Huawei's app gallery, we have their 500 million now, and those are the users that we can't really reach today. Our games are not visible for these users, so it's another opportunity for us to get to new users that currently they just can't download our games. So it's something we always need to explore and to remember. And it's a good, for me, it's like a marketing channel. Think about it as another growth marketing channel, and it's something you all should explore by yourself.
Absolutely, and echoing that, when you pursue like alternative stores, so you have obviously less competition because there are no much players competing on those like inventories and on those users. So you have a better chance to get exposed, to get featured. And for me, the most important part here is the payments. You have a chance while pursuing new stores to get like lower IAP share. And this could mean a lot for your business, especially for developers like with that are high AP driven. So basically you can keep, I don't know, 5, 7, 10% in your pocket, which translates to millions of dollars at the end of the month.
Yeah, absolutely. I must agree to that because I know that we can get better rev share. It can be 20/80, it could be 25/15, compared to the 70/30 that we used to. So it's a big advantage.
Cool. So there are obviously like challenges. We're not hiding it, right? So let's touch a bit the challenges. So what are the challenges before and after you launch a game with alternative store? What would be the main aspects developers should pay attention to? Guy, let's start with you.
Okay, I'll take this one first. And I'm glad that you asked what are the challenges before and after, because it's a very interesting distinction. First of all, before you bring your game to another store, you need to understand there are development costs associated with it, right? You need your developers to suddenly work with a new billing solution, maybe with a new login solution, with a lot of other things that you have to replace from your standard Google Play Android APK, right? So on the technical side, there is an integration effort, and maybe for the developers, they think that it's more worthwhile to develop another feature for your existing audience, right? If you have a game as a service, if your game is live for many months or many years, there's always this treadmill of creating new contents, and you need developers for that. So you have to decide, hey, do I want to approach this new store at the risk of not producing as much content, or should I keep creating the content for the existing users? It's a very hard consideration, because developer resources are always the one thing that is hard to expense. But other than that, even after you bring your game to another third-party store, you have to realize that it's not just launching the game there and that's it. You need to maintain it, right? If you want the users to keep coming to the game, you need to make sure that every update you push to the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store is also targeting these users on that store, because otherwise you just lose them after a while. And that maintenance is another effort. It's not just the development resources, it's asset creation, it's managing the storefront. Not all the stores have the same format as Apple and Google, so you start to create new kinds of creatives. And if you want to do user acquisition, you need to make sure that your own internal team and your MMP and whatever, they know how to do user acquisition for that platform. So it's a lot of considerations that you sometimes don't just realize when you say, hey, let's just bring the game to the store and that's it.
Yeah, related to that, I definitely agree about the development issue, because getting into the roadmaps of the studio, trying to explain him why we should invest in another platform, always it's hard to find the resources to do that. But I have one other thing that I think is the biggest issue with the platforms, because eventually if you can prove ROI, if you can prove the predicted revenue that you get from the store, it's something that you can overcome all the costs and the hours invested in development. But for me, what is missing the most, we have here our CI glorious department, and we have no CI on other alternative stores. Because you have App and you have Sensor Tower, you can dive into the details of other platforms of Google and iOS competitors to see the revenue, but I know nothing about the revenue that my competitors are gaining on Galaxy Store or Huawei or whatever. So for me, without the data, it's hard to make a case here, to make Playtika go and try to invest in other platforms. So the CI part is crucial, and this must be solved some other way, maybe some kind of all the startups here that can provide this data. I would appreciate that the most, because for now, what I did once, I just approached a competitor that is operating on Huawei and Galaxy, and I tried to understand the scale that they're gaining, the revenue scale. They won't give me any numbers, but we need to understand what's going to happen on the platform besides the promises that I get from the platform themselves.
Yeah, that's why these events are important, especially the drinks after, because that's where you get all the vital information.
It's all about education, yeah. So yeah, but absolutely. I mean, like I'm spending quite a lot time on the App Annie. Today is like Data.io, but Apptopia and all the other third-party data tool. And yeah, when you're trying to filter like different stores like Amazon, you get no data, right? You get you want to see the ranking, you get anything. So definitely a lot to progress on that. And you were speaking about data, so this is a great segue to our next question, which is what's the future for alternative stores, and what are you as an app developers are missing these days besides what you've already mentioned? You want to go?
Okay, from my side, I love to dig into analytics and into data and to understand the console. I work a lot, my team works a lot on Google Play Console and App Store Connect to understand all the metrics and to understand the data. And the first thing that I'm missing from the alternative app stores is analytics. They have nothing. You can understand nothing about the traffic. They don't give you any source types. You can't understand exactly where the traffic comes from and what exactly their nature is. You need to understand more about the data. And of course, they need to improve significantly all the store management, the ability to conduct A/B testing and to try to improve the alternative stores. And eventually they need to go and provide another opportunities to scale like live ops that Google Play Store does and App Store with the in-app events. Give us the opportunity to scale organically on your platforms. That's from my side.
Yeah, Google and Apple do take their pound of flesh, but they provide amazing service for it. The analytics and everything else around their platform, it's... I would also say because we're on PC, on some, we're working with some PC partners, the mobile ecosystem is still above and beyond the capabilities you have on traditional PC stores, because PC stores were built for an era where you buy a $60 game and that's the end of the transaction. And for free-to-play games, for games as a service, it's much more complex than that to do the correct analytics. But speaking of the future, except for what I want to see in other platforms, what I do feel that where I do feel that the world is going to, it's full cross-platform. So you mentioned that Google have their Google Play for PC, right? Apple created this service that allows you to distribute your iOS apps to macOS, right, without any extra effort. I don't know how many of you are developing Android games or apps and know how many of your users are actually running on emulation services like BlueStacks on a PC, right? And it's becoming even more complex than that. We launched last year our flagship title, Raid Shadow Legends, on Facebook Cloud, okay? It's not a traditional web canvas game. It's actually a cloud game running on their servers, something like Stadia, but not failing as much, right? And basically, this game is available right now on your mobile device through Facebook, on your PC through web.
Is it any good?
It's essentially the same game. It's a full-scale service, and it works well in some territories, right? Israel is not where they have their cloud services right now, so it's a bit jaggy, but it works. And it's a good question if your game is a good fit for cloud, but what I wanted to say is that suddenly when you have cloud in the consideration, you don't even know if it's like the big screen, if it's running on a TV, if it's running on your PC, if it's running on your mobile. And you want to be on all of these screens. You want to make sure that your games are running on all of these, through all of these outputs and using all the different inputs, because that's where the players are. Big titles like Genshin Impact, Fortnite prove that cross-platform is the future, and stores and third-party stores will have to accommodate to that, because again, Apple and Google are already going in that direction. TV, PC, and mobile.
Fascinating. So in your opinion, do you believe alternative stores should be a target like for any type of developers? Let's do like, maybe let's take the case of hyper casual versus mid-core apps. What do you think about it?
From my side, the portfolio that we're working on, I think it doesn't really fit any kind of games. When I try to analyze what I have, the data I have from different genres, I can say that, of course, the casual games from our portfolio is much more adjustable, and it can be scaled much significantly more than the casino games. But it's something I don't have the data enough. That's exactly what I said. We don't have it to understand what's the potential scale for like casino apps. We can try to understand how our competitors do that, but we don't have the data to do that. From my experience with our current titles, I prefer to go with the casual games more than the casino and the alternatives ones.
You want to add?
I would just say that for us, we distribute mostly games with in-app purchases, not that much in-app ads. So let's say does a platform support these kinds of ads is usually not a consideration for us. It's just a matter of the kind of billing they support, if we can work with our existing login solutions, things like that. And just bring us back to the previous question, it's about regional distribution. If your game is the kind of game that will work well in Korea, I assume that the Samsung Galaxy App Store is stronger there than in the West and vice versa. So there are these considerations, but not much more than that. It's a store, it's on the same devices, same games, right?
Yeah.
I just want to add, because when I mapped the competitors, when they're analyzing and growing on other platforms, I identified like two strategies. The competitors that want to be first everywhere. It's not about the projection of the revenue and the ROI. They want to be first. They want to be as a brand, to be whatever they can be for the users to find them. And the others want to expand gradually from the regular ones, step by step, to understand the revenue. And now we're trying to understand what are the games that for us needs to be first everywhere. And for me, it's more about the casual games, and that's where we're aiming.
Cool. Yeah, I think the same. Like if you're looking at hyper casual games, which have like kind of a short life cycle, so maybe it's not like a great opportunity for them to make all the efforts to distribute their apps to alternative stores. It takes some time to upload the app, to get all the requirements. So maybe it's it's a better solution these days for like more of a, as I said, casual, maybe mid-core games that are more stable and have like a longer time life cycle. So yeah. So maybe a last question before we are opening up for the crowd. So following the challenges question that we asked before, so let's say that you as a developer, you decide to pursue an alternative store. So what are the main considerations? What's the strategy? What's the end goal for you as a developer?
I have like a few criteria that I try to understand. The first one is the potential MAU, to understand the potential scale that I can get there. The second one is the relevancy for the genres that our games are on and relevant to, the audiences that are relevant to the specific platform. Is it innovative? Is it this place that as Playtika we want to be on? And for instance, I can tell that you have like a platform like Steam that we are now exploring, and not all games fit to this platform. It has a specific niche, a specific audience, so it needs to be good scale. My competitors are going there, relevant to my audience and to the genres of our games, and it needs to be some kind of innovative and something with a future and progression and a growth trend that I can see that the platform is growing from year to year.
Right, then I would say for us, again, we want our games to be interconnected, our users to play anywhere they can. The platform can't be segregated. You need to make sure that your users, existing users, could switch to that platform if they want to. They could switch back if suddenly they change their mind. I have a Samsung phone and suddenly I switch to a Xiaomi phone or whatever. I need to make sure that the game I started on, same game through Galaxy App Store, I'll be able to play it on the other device afterwards. It's a very serious consideration, especially considering the scope of our games, because we make competitive games in broad set of genres, and we want the community to play together. It's very important for us.
Cool. So this is pretty much it from our side. So now we will open it up for the crowd, and if you have any questions, so just feel free. Anyone? Yeah.
Oh, Sagi, don't be shy.
Should I ask again? Hi, I asked if you had an automated system that would allow you to upload all of your games to all of the alternative stores all around the world and take care of the updates all at the click of a button. Is there any reason not to upload all of your games to all of the stores?
Why, you developing something like that?
I wish.
No, it sounds actually amazing. Apart maybe cannibalizations possibilities that can be.
Still, what do you care if you get like?
No, I don't. If you have it, I press the button now.
All right, Guy, do you press the button?
So I have to say there are actually a few solutions in the market that attempt to do that. Right, Digital Turbine themselves are invested in one of these companies. And on the mobile ecosystem, the thing is that it's not as easy as it sounds, right? You can solve some of the issues along the way. And by the way, as a big company, we're looking into that internally, right? We don't want each and every one of our studios to start developing the integration for a new store from scratch. So you need to do a lot of groundwork if you want to make a solution that works well for, additional stores. But if you have this tool and it's pre-made and it makes your life easier and they don't charge you, an amount that doesn't make sense, then that could be an interesting middleman solution. And by the way, I want to add that, again, we're talking about, in a mobile summit today, but a few years back, we launched our own platform on PC, right, Plarium Play. And we started with our internal games there. And now we're looking to explore the rest of the market. And we know that on the PC ecosystem there's also no such solution. So that's what we think would actually make developers' life easier. But it's not as easy as it sounds, right? For the developer and for the tool provider.
Yeah, he's working on it. What I can say that for now, till now, I think most companies don't really do the adjustments to a specific alternative store. They just run with their monetization and all the live ops from the Google Play and Apple and just like copycat it to the other alternative stores. They don't really adjust to the alternative store with the habits and the user experience that they have there. A user that plays on tablet is a different user. And I think that in the future, we must adjust our marketing and our KPIs and our monetization to each platform. And for that, I don't know if your tool will do that. It's too complicated. But, AI, maybe.
Keep us posted, huh? Any more questions?
Everyone wants lunch.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.